now streaming.
We're now streaming. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. This is certainly one of our first meetings that we've got a Skype in. So just to note that Councillor Burden has Skyped in tonight, and he's self-quarantining after being in the States. So we appreciate that you are taking the precaution, Councillor Burden. Again, this meeting will be live streamed and recorded and available on the internet by visiting the Town of Parry Sound's website at www.parrysound.ca. And prior to the open session, Council met for a brief closed session. It was moved by Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor Borneman. Pursuant to Section 239(2) and 3 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001 C25 is amended. Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound moves to a meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes, potential acquisition of property for municipal purposes, E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, potential claims regarding issues on private property. And that was carried. The meeting was held. Let's see. Is there any prioritization addition to the agenda? No. Okay. Mover and seconder for the agenda of March 17th. Councillor McCann, Councillor Bachman. The Council agenda for March 17th, 2020 be approved as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure, pecuniary interest, or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, mover and seconder for the minutes. Councillor Borneman, Councillor Horn. The minutes of the regular meeting held March 3rd be approved as circulated. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? That's carried. Any questions of staff? Councillor McCann.
Thanks. This one is for Chief Thompson. We had quite a nasty wind there a few days ago, and a neighbor in our part of town had called looking for some direction as to whom to call. And so I guess two comments here, or two questions. In this case, a tree next door had blown down and caused quite a bit of damage. Mr. Thompson, when something like that happens, can we just remind the public whom they should call, and maybe you could address the incident that occurred the other day? I understand the fire department responded very quickly.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so there's a couple of issues here, and they involve both myself and Mr. Kearns. With regards to any incident that is affecting the municipality or is a safety issue, then most definitely we encourage people to call 911. And that's going to get the fire department a fast response. We'll get on scene, we can secure the site, and ensure that everyone's safe. And then we can also expedite getting the proper resources in. In many cases, those proper resources might be our own public works department. Sometimes they will be Lakeland Hydro. Other times they could be the police, whatever those resources are. In this case, the public works department was in and assisted with cleaning up the tree and removing it, and then we were able to open the roads back up again at that time. So for sure, if there's a public safety issue, call 911. Fire department will get there, and we'll get the resources that are needed on scene.
Thanks very much.
Councillor Horn.
Thank you. As everyone knows, we're living in unprecedented times, and of course today the state of emergency issued by the province of Ontario. The economic developments in terms of people that are in our area and the number of businesses, restaurants, bars that have shuttered their business is again just going to be such an economic impact for the citizens of the town of Parry Sound area. So I don't know if this question is for Mr. Harris or Ms. Phillips, but in terms of our municipal taxes, has there been discussion or can there be discussion about a grace period for our municipal taxes? Or if not, then waive a penalty for non-payment of municipal taxes at this point in time. Some other municipalities have entered into a grace period or a non-penalty for not paying taxes on time. So I'd just like to bring that forth as a discussion, and maybe senior leadership can discuss that item. But I think we are facing some serious economic hard times, and I'm sure the idea of paying taxes or food for some people in our area, especially seniors, is probably first and foremost, as we do have 2 quarterly payments coming up. I do understand that a lot of people have their taxes on their mortgage, but there is a fair number of people that don't do that and pay their taxes.
Councillor Keith?
I just want to add to that, I think also there would be a concern about the water and sewer bills that have just come out. So I think that if there's a discussion, it should hopefully be involving both of them, because these are serious issues.
So we do know that the impact of one period of penalty for the first of the month is around $15,000, but we have discussed the possibly having a grace period, but no definitive answers have developed yet. But continued discussion will occur about those payment due dates.
Perhaps if I could just add to that, that's something that would come back to council for a decision.
Okay. Any further questions of staff? Nope. Okay. Correspondence, Ms. Johnson. Okay.
Your Worship, there are four items of correspondence and an additional one since the agenda was sent out. The first item is from the Honourable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. It is regarding the Provincial Policy Statement 2020, and in the letter, Mr. Clark notes that the Provincial Policy Statement, or also known as the PPS 2020, supports implementation of the More Homes, More Choices, Ontario's Housing Supply Action Plan, including encouraging an increase in the mix and supply of housing, protecting the environment and public safety, reducing barriers and costs for development, and providing greater certainty, supporting rural, northern, and Indigenous communities, and supporting the economy and job creation. The second item of correspondence is from Cammie Johnson, the Administrator of Belvedere Heights, and it is the 2020 levy for Belvedere Heights, a total of $1,517,189. Town's portion is $134,342. The third item is from Frank Fernandez of the Stop the Great Lakes Nuclear Dump organization. Mr. Fernandez is letting the town know that the Ontario Power Generation's plan to build a nuclear waste repository in Kincardine has now been abandoned. The town provided a resolution in 2014 supporting the efforts of the Stop the Great Lakes Nuclear Dump, and so Mr. Fernandez is letting us know that that has been successful. The fourth item is a couple of items both related to the coronavirus or COVID-19. The first is a press release from the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit that was issued in the second week of March. And the next item is, and the companion piece was the Ministry of Health's most up-to-date at the time of circulating the agenda press release regarding the province implementing enhanced measures to protect Ontarians from COVID-19. Of course, press releases and information changes day by day. So we, at this point, have more up-to-date information than those press releases at that time. And lastly, there is an item that's just been added to the agenda for this evening from Chris Litchko, Chief Executive Officer of Lakeland Holding Inc., Lakeland Holding Limited. It's a request for a letter of support from the municipality for Lakeland's application to CRTC for broadband in this area, and there's a resolution that has been added to the agenda for council's consideration later in the meeting under other business.
Super, thank you. So our deputation that we had tonight was canceled. Just for the public's, if they happen to notice the red dots that some of us are wearing, it is a screening that you have to answer a number of questions before you enter the building. And that way, if you answer them correctly, you get a red dot and you can come in. Otherwise, you have to go back outside. So it's part of a process that we're working on to try and mitigate potential infections and make sure that people in the building are not spreading around unwanted germs. So I'm going to go to councilors' reports. Oh, Councilor Borneman.
There we go.
Okay.
I don't know whether Mr. Harris or Chief Thompson plan to report later.
I have it here. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we'll start with Councillor Backman tonight for reports.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, everyone. It's been a quiet time in the last couple of weeks since our last council meeting. However, I did attend a special meeting with the library board yesterday, which we came together as a board and did do closures to the library and until conditions change. And so I just want to report on that at this time. Thank you. That's my report for tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Keith?
Well, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, staff and the public, nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Horn?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All my committees were canceled or postponed. So everyone stay safe and be kind to each other. Thank you.
Councillor Borneman?
I wasn't quite that lucky. Happy St. Patrick's Day, all. March 10th, I attended a special meeting at the airport with our engineers and 9 representatives from Hydro One. Each of these people had a area of expertise, and all were required to tell us what it's going to take to ensure adequate supply of electricity at the airport moving forward. Hopefully, that work will proceed in an expeditious fashion. Later that same afternoon, I attended an announcement made by the Near North District School Board with respect to funding for the new super school in Parry Sound. It was kind of a deja vu moment. I had attended this previously in 2015. Since then, financial commitment from the province has dropped to $26.2 million, and a school housing 815 students is now planned, which is also a reduction. I think that for us and the people in this community, it would serve us all well to pay careful attention to what's going on there, because I'm not at all sure that either the funding or the space that's being suggested is adequate for the needs of our area. Like other members of council, to be aware that the Parry Sound District Municipal Association meeting for May 1st has been canceled because of the health situation. And along the line of the comments that Councillor Horn was making about delaying payment, today I got a robocall from Lakeland Holdings indicating that no one will be disconnected during this pandemic. But that you should contact Lakeland. I wasn't speedy enough to write down the number as quickly as I should have. The number listed on their website is 705-789-5442, and hopefully they'll help you through this period of time. It's not all doom and gloom in Parry Sound, though. The past couple of weeks have seen quite a number of pretty neat achievements. Terry Crisp was elected to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Megan Oldham won the Big Air event in the X Games at Oslo, Norway. Aidan Dudas achieved the 200 career point plateau in the OHL, which is pretty remarkable. A young fellow named Dan Campbell was nominated for Top Canadian Screen Award for hairdressing and something called Riot Girls. I'm not really familiar with that, but maybe somebody else can fill you in. And Mark Idison skipped Team Canada to silver at the World Wheelchair Curling Championships in Moscow. These are all great achievements, and I'd pass my congratulations on to all of them. And I'll be quiet now.
Thank you for mentioning those. That's really good, because the public needs to be aware that there are people from Parry Sound in the area that are doing great things out there, so thank you. I'm going to turn it now to Councillor Burden and see if he can give us his report. We don't have sound. Just so you know, I am texting Councillor Burden because he can't always hear. Roger, can you hear me? Sorry.
Councillor Burden, if you can hear us, if you can check your microphone and turn your microphone on, if you can see that.
Just so the public knows, this is the first time we've had to do this, so we're trying to make sure, because budget night is tomorrow night. He says looks like no sound either way. So, so you're. Well, he's got his. He can see us, but he can't hear us. Do you want to text him there and just, we'll go to Councillor McCann, and then we'll work with Councillor Burden to try. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council and staff and public. Again, as well, a short report here. As Councillor Backman mentioned, we had an emergency library board meeting yesterday on a day when the library was closed, and as Vanessa mentioned, we will be closed until such a time as appropriate to reopen. Contact by email and telephone is available, so you can certainly keep in touch electronically with all the technology that we have in this day and age. The museum on Tower Hill has also been closed until further notice, And I guess the best thing to do is just to keep in touch with the website and email if you've got questions or concerns. This all, of course, doing what's reasonable to mitigate the virus concerns. I want to thank everyone for their patience and their willingness to cooperate at a time like this. This is unprecedented. I've never known in my lifetime anything like this. And I want to encourage people to, to put up a healthy guard, live your life, do what's reasonable and responsible, and not to be caught up in the fear, especially from what you see online sometimes, and maybe perhaps some of the emails that come into your scam buckets, if I can use that term. It's easy to get scared, and I think that we're doing everything that we need to do and should be doing as far as the municipalities are concerned, the province, and even the country, and to mitigate this problem. So don't get lost in fear. Be positive, and just do what's reasonable, and things like washing, avoiding people you don't know, and keeping a healthy distance, as we're doing here this evening from everyone. And so thank you, and that is my report.
You can hear me? Okay, all right. So we're going to try this. I'm going to put Councillor Burden on speakerphone, and Councillor Burden, do you have any report that you would like to make?
I will make a very brief report. Since the last council meeting, which I missed, unfortunately, having been away. On March the 11th, I attended the DPA Downtown Business Association meeting, and everything is going well there. They're in the midst of planning their summer events, or their year's events, basically, and getting ready to do their planting of flowers and the hanging baskets and so on. So things are going very well there. On March the 12th, I attended the District Social Services Administration Board meeting, and likewise, everything's going very well there. We're still in the process of looking for a new CAO. Meanwhile, the three ladies who are the three managers from the association are looking after the CAO's duties and doing a very fine job of it, so I commend them for that. Just to briefly explain to the public, I have been out of the country. I got back a week ago, and I have absolutely no symptoms of the coronavirus, and I hope I never do have. But as a precaution, we decided to have me stay at home this evening, and we're trying to get the technical thing working, but so far not working real good. We'll get that sorted with Callan tomorrow. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's everybody. Council, staff, and public, February 23rd to the 26th, I attended the Good Roads Conference in Toronto. February 27th was an AMO executive meeting. March 2nd to the 6th, I attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meeting in St. Hyacinthe, Quebec, and I thank Councillor Bachman for chairing the meeting on that particular Tuesday. March 12th, there was an AMO MOU meeting with the provincial government on various issues. We also had an update on the COVID-19 virus from the Deputy Minister of Health. March 13th, I helped arrange a media event with Dr. Jim Shiroko, our Medical Officer of Health, staff of the West Parry Sound Health Centre, and Dave Thompson, our Director of Emergency Services, and certainly our CAO, Clayton Harris. Local media was in attendance, and there were some great questions. The purpose of the update was to update the public on our current situation, give everyone a better understanding of what planning is in place, what steps one should take, and what to do if you are not feeling well. The event was live streamed, and the public can go to the town's website to view the recording, and you can find it on YouTube at www.parrysound.ca. And we may have to put together another update in a week or so to bring everyone up to date. So we have some official comments for tonight. The Town of Parry Sound understands the current COVID-19 public health situation can be stressful and very unsettling for all concerned. The health and safety of our residents and staff is our primary concern, and we want to reassure you that we are monitoring and following the direction and guidance of the experts at the Public Health Unit and the province as the situation continues to evolve. And I think evolve is a good word because it evolves and changes, if not on a daily basis, but almost on, a half-daily basis. So it is changing all the time. I'm pleased to report that there are no reported cases within the District of Parry Sound. Communicating is a critical aspect of slowing the spread of COVID-19. Last Friday, I invited the Public Health Unit's Medical Officer of Health from the North Bay, along with representatives from our local health center, to join me and senior staff for a media briefing at the town offices. The event was live streamed, as I mentioned, and on the town's website. And if you go to the town's website, it's immediately as you go on. It's right there. You can click on it and follow it. To slow the spread of the virus, events and programs in town facilities have been canceled or postponed, and community facilities have been closed to the public, including the Bobby Orr Community Center, the Stocky Center, the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame, until April 6th or further notice. Parry Sound Public Library will also be closed. Effective at noon tomorrow, public access to the town office and the fire department will be closed. Business will continue by phone, email, conference calls, some electronic form. Only essential appointments will be coordinated. Rather than visit the town's office, please reach out to us by phone at 705-746-2101. Again, 705-746-2101, or refer to our website for additional contact information. I want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding, and I encourage you and your families to remain calm, practice good hand hygiene, and appropriate social distancing. This afternoon, I attended a conference call that the province put on, and for council's interest, the province is looking at legislation that would allow councils to have electronic meetings. So that is going to be in the works, and hopefully something that will happen soon. They also gave an update on the media event this morning that the province had, declaring a state of emergency, and the $304 million that the province is putting into combat this virus. And you can get details. AMO has pushed out some information on the details of where that money is allotted into the different streams, so that you can find out how much money is going where. And that's my report. Was there anything else? Okay, thank you. I'd really like to, I guess, finally say I commend staff for all the work they put into this. It's super how everybody pulls together, and it was mentioned at the news event we had on Friday. This is teamwork. The community becomes a whole team. Everybody pulling together is going to beat this, and I know we can do it. And let's keep our numbers down and everybody healthy. Okay. Item 911, moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman, that the 2019 statement of remuneration paid to council and appointed board members attached to Schedule A be accepted. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor Horn. Whereas the town of Parry Sound owns and operates the Parry Sound Drinking Water System MOE designation number 2200000585, which has been categorized as a large residential drinking water system. And whereas Ontario Regulation 170-03 as amended under the Safe Drinking Water Act requires, according to Schedule 22, summary reports for municipalities that all large municipal drinking residential drinking water systems have a report prepared no later than March 31st of each year addressing the items detailed in the regulation and is given to the members of council in case of a drinking water system owned by a municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Parry Sound hereby acknowledges receipt of the report titled Town of Parry Sound Tony Agnello Water Treatment Plant Large Municipal Residential Drinking Water System Summary Report 2019, as prepared by Kyle Hall, Manager of Water Systems. Discussion. Councillor Keith.
I was hoping that Mr. Kearns could give a highlight, a snapshot version of what the significance of this report is. Is that possible?
Certainly. Through you, Your Worship, as the resolution indicated, this is a regulatory requirement under the Ontario Regulation 170 under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And the idea is to give enough information to council so that council will understand, as the owners of the system's ability to meet existing and planned uses in the future. So essentially, this is kind of a highlight report, giving statistics of the operation of the system, compliance information is contained within. It gives average quantities of water, how the system is constructed, how it operates, and all of the portions thereof of the water system as a complete unit.
Yes, Councillor Keith.
So the follow-up, should we be concerned at this point, or what's the overall? Are we doing a good job? Things doing well here, or what would you say is the overall significance?
Through you, Your Worship, absolutely. There is nothing in the report that would indicate concern. The water system continues to provide safe, clean drinking water to the users of the system.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? Councillor Borneman?
This is more of a comment than a question. I think it's kind of easy sometimes to allow complacency to set in. We've been doing these water tests and samplings for a number of years, and ours have consistently come back with, as Mr. Kearns says, not only no concerns, but really high quality work down there. So I congratulate Mr. Hall and his staff for, their work in keeping the community safe.
Anything further? All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Bachman that a decision on consent application number B/03/2020 PS Kondwani Corporation /58 Emily Street be supported, subject to conditions of consent that require: 1, the payment of cash in lieu of parkland; 2, the retained lands be rezoned to recognize the lands do not have frontage and access onto a year-round maintained road, and also that a holding symbol be applied which requires the submission of a record of site condition and the valuation of the landfill site prior to any sensitive use, and 3, submission of an environmental impact study supporting the proposed consent application. Discussion. Councillor McCann.
I guess this would be for Mr. Elgie. So I'm somewhat familiar with this this particular property and such. I'm curious to know about the cash in lieu of parking. Can you kind of explain to me what's behind that and how much we're talking?
Through Your Worship, this is cash in lieu of parkland. I believe since it's supposed to be a commercial lot, it's about $1,800. The idea of anytime you create a lot in Ontario, municipalities have the right to ask for a certain amount of it either be dedicated as parkland or take money in lieu of actual land.
I'm sorry, I did say parking in lieu of rather than parkland. Thank you.
Anything further? No? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McCann, that council authorizes the application be made to Canada Arts Presentation Fund, CAPF, for the 2021-2024 Stocky Centre programming season, and that the CAO Clayton Harris be authorized to execute the application and other relevant documents. Discussion. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Backman, seconded by Councillor McCann, whereas on the 21st day of August 2000, the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound and the Corporation of Seguin entered into an agreement for the operation, control, and management of the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport. And whereas the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound and the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hold title to the airport lands, and whereas the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport Commission has prepared applications to FedNor and Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, NOHFC, for funding for a runway and airside business development project. And whereas the Town of Parry Sound and the Township of Seguin as contributing funding partners to the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport, in the event there are cost overruns in this project, Town of Parry Sound 20% and the Township of Seguin 80% are obligated to provide financial assistance to the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport Commission as required. Therefore, be it resolved that as the owners of the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport lands, the Council of the Corporation Town of Parry Sound does hereby support the applications for funding from FedNor and the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, NOHFC, for capital improvements at the airport, brackets runway and airside business development project, and that the Township of Seguin will provide cash flow assistance to the Parry Sound Area Municipal Airport Commission as required for the municipal portion in the form of a long-term repayable loan of a maximum of $2.5 million with specific terms of repayment to be determined at a later date, and that Council approves the Township of Seguin to act as the lead applicant for the above referenced project, and that the Township of Seguin as lead applicant will establish appropriate measures. Yeah, it should be will, yeah. Establish appropriate measures, project oversight, including status updates to minimize the risk of cost overruns. Friendly amendment if I put two L's instead of the TH. Thank you. Discussion. Councillor McCann.
So I'm just curious, I'm not sure who could answer this one. The reasoning behind the 2080, is this in line with the ownership of the airport itself? Looking at the value of the municipal airport, I would think that there's a great benefit to the entire region, but I understand the municipalities of Seguin and Parry Sound are in ownership. So how was the 2080 established?
Councillor Borneman.
Funding is based on tax assessment, current market value assessment. While I've got the mic on,
yep.
I just say that this is virtually the same application that was made several months ago to the ISEP funding. That funding was refused. The pot of money didn't allow for this project. Airport keeps kicking tires and working away. These are different pools of money that we're making application to now. We've been told by both the province and the federal government that if we just simply replace what's on the property, we are not eligible for any money. And the cost of doing that is greater than the municipal portion of this, which would provide us with a much better facility going into the future, a much more usable facility. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor? That's good. Carried. Thank you. Okay. The new item, moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Backman, Whereas Parry Sound is a significant community in its location on the shores of Georgian Bay running up Highway 400 North Corridor, and whereas there are many looking to relocate their permanent or seasonal residents and businesses to the area, and whereas providing a quality internet service product to the more unserviced areas of Parry Sound District will make this area that much more attractive to businesses and potential residents alike. Now therefore, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Parry Sound hereby supports the application by Lakeland Networks to the CRTC Rural Broadband Funding Initiative to bring quality, cost-effective, high-speed internet to our town and surrounding areas. Discussion. All in favor? It's great. Thank you. This is also an added item. Moved by Councillor Backman and seconded by Councillor McCann. Whereas the World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus or COVID-19 as a pandemic, and whereas the province of Ontario has declared a state of emergency today amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas federal and provincial and municipal responses to best practice advice on limiting gatherings and social contact has been to limit access, including closed program facilities and offices, and whereas the situation is very dynamic and evolving quickly, often requiring immediate action. Now therefore, Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound ratifies the administrative actions taken to close municipal facilities and programs effective March 16th, 2020, until further notice, including the Bobby Orr Community Center, the Charles W. Stockey Center for the Performing Arts, the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame, the Parry Sound Public Library, and further, that the Chief Administrative Officer, in consultation with the Mayor and Community Management Coordinator, CEMC, is delegated decision-making authority to close municipal facilities, adjust service levels, cancel programs and/or council meetings, and/or reinstate as the situation evolves, and the Chief Administrative Officer inform council at the earliest opportunity. Discussion. All in favor? That's carried. Item 10.11, bylaw, the bylaw number 2020-7022, moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Borneman, being a bylaw to authorize extension of lease agreement with the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, for office space from November 1st, 2020 to October 31st, 2025, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor Horn, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion? Councillor McCann?
Very simply, I'd like to congratulate staff. This was a good catch.
All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Borneman, that bylaw number 2020-7023, being a bylaw to amend parking and traffic control, bylaw number 2019-6912, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Borneman, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Discussion. Councillor McCann.
Thank you. For Mr. Thompson then, or I'm sorry, you're prettier. Could you just tell the public what this is a good news thing, and people were asking for this, and I'm glad that this has come forward.
Absolutely. It's removing the reparking regulation whereby people couldn't park within the downtown more than once on the same municipal street or within the same municipal lot in the same day. This section of the bylaw caused some confusion for people, and it did have a negative impact on people accessing the downtown. So in removing that, there's still the 2-hour or 4-hour restrictions. However, people can feel free to come and use the parking for those 2 or 4-hour timeframes more than once in a day.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? All in favor? That's carried then. It's a thick one. I want to make sure I got it all. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Backman that bylaw number 2020-7024, being a bylaw to enter into agreement with Chris Everett, Earl Smallwood, and Gary Calestra for the provision of on-call after-hours municipal law enforcement services be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Backman that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Alright, moved by Councillor Backman, seconded by Councillor McCann, that bylaw number 2020-7025, being a bylaw to prohibit smoking on town of Parry Sound property, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? It's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? It's carried. Moved by Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor Backman, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion on this? Councillor Backman? Oh, okay. Councillor Borneman.
I'm wondering if you can just update the public with the highlights of the changes and what impacts this has on cannabis use as well.
Absolutely. The new bylaw for smoking now includes cannabis under the definition of smoking, as well as electronic cigarettes or vaping. Previously, our bylaw would have, of course, only included the use of tobacco. So in line with the Smoke Free Ontario Act, we've now included those other items on for town properties, so that is prohibited.
Councillor Keith?
Yes, maybe you could explain one further thing. Excuse me. Provided this is passed tonight, how will that affect signage? And I'm thinking of down at the town beaches where signage is going to occur. What changes are planned?
Signage currently indicates no smoking. There are new signs available to us through the health units that include the symbol for the no e-cigarettes, no vaping. In many places, those have already been replaced. And there's also been new park signs already ordered that include those messages. So there will be some further updating of signage as we get into spring and summer for places that haven't already had updates.
Okay, Councillor Backman, then Councillor Borneman.
Sorry, I had a follow-up. So
Oh,
does
sorry.
that,
Okay.
that's okay. Does that mean there will also be any signage on the fitness trail? Is it all going to flow there too?
I would imagine some of the signage would include the fitness trail wherever there is current signage. That would be a park's decision as to exactly where they place that signage, but it's definitely available.
Councillor Backman?
Thank you for this update on the bylaw. One of the comments I have received from the public, and this happened during last summer season, and as we get into this new season, is at the Kinsman when there are many people in the bleachers around the baseball fields. Apparently there are people still smoking, and so I hope that it will be heavily promoted at our community centers and in that facility, especially down right by the ballparks as well.
We can definitely look at the signage for the Kinsman. Currently, being that the property is Town of Parry Sound but is in the McDougall area, we don't enforce at that location. Perhaps that's something we can look at, but the signage for sure can be updated to include the addition of the electronic cigarettes and cannabis.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Borneman?
I would take it from this that when it says Town of Parry Sound property, that property hasn't been expanded to include sidewalks at this point.
No, sidewalks, including this road portion and the sidewalk portion, are not included. The Municipal Act is fairly clear that you may limit smoking within a municipality, but it does not include the highway portion. So this would be all Town of Parry Sound properties, not including sidewalks or highways.
There are some municipalities that have done this, and maybe we might investigate just as to how those municipalities have done it. I can't remember which ones they were, but it must be out there somewhere who has.
There have been some municipalities that have passed bylaws which include highways and sidewalks under the premise of a bylaw which would be for the health and safety of their residents. Within the Municipal Act, you can pass a bylaw under that caveat. However, to be in line with the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, we have decided not to include the highways and sidewalks at this point.
Councillor Borneman?
Well, I'm only going to speak for myself. I was looking to see if Councillor Burden was still keeping an eye on us. But I know, as having previously represented the town on the DBA, that it's a major issue in the downtown core that most merchants would love to see us undertake that kind of activity. So I would suggest that we at least review what's possible there and bring it back to the table when or if there's something that can be done to control that.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Keith? Okay. All in favor of having that investigated and looked at? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So, anyway, were there any more comments from Ms. Kruger about the actual, what we have in front of us right now? No? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor Horn, that bylaw number 2020-7026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor Horn, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, prior to adjourning, I'd like to offer the following information to the public regarding the next council meeting. A special meeting of council to deal with the budget will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, March 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers located on the top floor of 52 Seguin Street. The next regular meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Under the circumstances of the coronavirus pandemic, please watch for updates regarding any cancellations or rescheduling of council meetings. The town encourages members of the public to watch the meetings as they are live streamed and recorded rather than attend in person. Please check news and public notices on our website at www.parrysound.ca for instructions to watch live or recorded council meetings and to obtain information on the council agenda and minutes. Your TV airs council meetings on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. following a regular council meeting. For Cogeco listings, contact www.yourtv.tv. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Party safely at home. Maybe with your spouse or good friend, partner, whoever. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.